Hey everyone, Vickie Magic here again from our podcast, Wake Up to What Matters. And today I'm really honoured to have a lovely young man here by the name of Tristan Roxbourgh, who I actually didn't meet, but saw 3 years ago in a Tony Robbins event. And Tony actually called Tristian out as who in the room here is looking to potentially take their own life. And Tristian was the one that was called out and put his hand up. So this is 3 years later, and clearly Tristian's still here, so yay. That's a good thing. And I reached out to Tristian after that event, and we've been in touch ever since. So Tristian, I'd really like to just invite you, if you wouldn't mind, to take us back to 3 years ago and where you were then and what's kind of happened since.
Oh man, on Date with Destiny, I took a plane ride to Queensland to go to it, and I didn't even book my plane ticket back because I thought I was done with. And so I got to the event. I sat right up the back because I didn't want anything. I just wanted to sit back and watch the show. I saw the menu that we got. Everyone got the menu, and I was just like, this reads like all of his books. So this is rubbish. And I just sat up the back and sat with this lovely young lady. And all of a sudden, this one of the senior leaders comes up to us and goes, "You two, do you just want to come up the front?" And I go, "Yeah." And the girl's like, "Yes, yes, yes." And because a whole bunch of platinum partners didn't turn up, so next minute I was down at the front, and Tony calls out, and the next thing I'm in the spotlight. And tell you what, once that spotlight hits you, it's heavy.
Yep. So you said that, so I'm just going to take you back just a little second there. You said that you already in that moment thought, what am I doing here? What were you doing there? How did you get there? How did you get to be there? Why were you there? What did you think was going to happen there?
Well, I read all of Tony's books, and I thought it was pretty good. I went to what's his other event? Unleash the Power Within.
Unleash the Power Within, yep.
I went to that in Sydney. I thought that was pretty good.
Yep.
And so what I've been doing, because I was studying at university and I was living at home at the time, I was just saving up all of my for the last 3 years. I was saving up my my benefit payments from going to university. So I was saving like $200 or $300 a fortnight. And I saved it up for 3 years. I spent 3 years saving to go to Date with Destiny.
Wow.
And yeah, so it was definitely a lot of premeditation going on there.
Yep.
And so I finally bit the bullet, and when I saved up for it, yeah, I thought when I got there it was an anticlimax. You know, when you work hard for something, you work hard, you finally get it, and then it's like, oh, is this it? Yeah. I was in for a rude shock. Once I got there.
So you obviously were in the spotlight and Tony put you on the spot. And so tell us about that time.
That was scary. Like he goes, "You," and he points at me. And then the first thing I thought was, holy cow. In other words, there's no way I'm getting out of this now. Because I've seen Tony Robbins' his special on Netflix. It's the I'm Not Your Guru.
Yeah.
And I've seen what happens to people who lie to him. And because he can just see through you. He's been doing it for like 40 years. He knows the body language. He knows how to sense your tonality and everything.
So you knew you weren't going to get away with bullshitting.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay. So remember when I was like, okay, I don't like Mad Tony. And he's like, no, there is no Mad Tony. There's Tony that can use energy to move you.
Yeah. So in that moment after that time, did you kind of go home that night and think, yes, I've got this? Or did you go home that night and think, oh my God?
I didn't go home that night. I went to the hospital that night.
Okay, tell us more.
I about 4 hours after my intervention, I just got this feeling in the pit of my stomach. And it was like, I needed to go to the bathroom real quick. So I went to the bathroom and I just puked my guts up. and it was just this I think it was a delayed emotional purge or something, because I didn't feel crook on the day or anything. Like, I had a bit of brain fog, but I get that every now and then. But I just puked and puked, and the senior leaders were up. My actual senior leader of my group gave me a funny look, and she's like, "Have you taken anything?" And I'm like, no, I just felt really sick. So I ended up in at the Gold Coast Hospital for a few hours that night just to check me over and everything. I think it was just a shock to the system, and all that cortisol, because when Tony's speaking to you and you've got 2,000 people watching you, there's going to be some stress there. It was good stress. It was good stress because I had things buried beneath me that I was happy to leave there for the rest of my life. They were deep and dead and buried. I was like, okay, they're there. And then all of a sudden, bringing those back out into the open in front of everyone was just an experience. Like, and it took a few hours to catch up with me, I think.
Wow, isn't that interesting how it actually presented physically?
Wow. I think, right in the pit of my gut, and it was hectic. I was crook for I think I missed my team meeting the next morning, but then I slowly got back to health the next day, and then the whole week ended up just being a blur because being put in the spotlight and then being known to 2,000 people. It was such a gift, but it was so taxing as well. But so it was good.
And would you say that, obviously that, and we're going to talk about them, there's been a lot of up and downs since that day, but would you say that in that moment, or in that day, or those 5 days, because Date with Destiny is 5 days,
5 or 6
5 or 6 days, would you say that actually did save your life?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because before then, I'd been in a psychiatric facility 2 weeks before then, because I was just done with everything. I didn't know anyone. I didn't really have any friends. I was failing my university, and I was just I thought I was out of options because of I've tried everything here. I mean, you get into that mind frame of I've tried everything, then that's all you're going to find, because that's what you're focusing on. So I was in the mindset of oh, I've tried everything, and obviously I think Tony said it's you haven't tried everything, because if you would have an answer. But
that's it. And before we came on air, that was actually something that I said to you, Tristian, that most of the people that I have on the podcast are people that have triumphed over their journey. And the reason that I invited you on today is that I know that you're actually still on your journey, and that you still, have your ups and your downs and your days where you probably still, aren't Mr. Happy, and that you've recently kind of had a really big step on your journey. So sort of talk us through that 2.5 years to what you've recently done.
Well, immediately after Date with Destiny, I was in the stressful but awesome position. I've gone from thinking I have nothing and nobody, no opportunities, and I'm just dead in the water, to all of a sudden more than hundreds of people holding me accountable, people giving me job opportunities, people asking I can live in this place for free rent and everywhere. So I was spoiled by the opportunity cost, but then I was also overwhelmed by it as well, because all things were just happening really fast. And and being held accountable, I think I jumped at a few opportunities that weren't right for me, just out of sheer, you've got to be doing something. Someone was telling me the 100-day rule after Date with Destiny, you've got to get out there and do it right away, or you'll never do it. Yeah. So I did a whole bunch of things. And I disappointed a lot of people as well, because what ended up happening is that I had an undiagnosed brain injury at the time. I didn't know what was happening with it, because I was wondering why I was always I'll do these cognitive tests for work, the computer tests they give you, just to make sure you're with it. And I kept on failing these tests, and I'm wondering, I'm not stupid or anything,
No.
And I had coaches telling me, saying, "Oh, you need to try a bit harder. You need to try a bit harder, Tristan." And what I found out was just recently in January is that I had some damage to my frontal lobes, which it actually got worse when I concentrated. So that explained a whole list of things like my failures at uni and my failures in relationships, failures at school, and having that confidence just be low. So yeah.
And so that's awesome, like so awesome that you finally got an answer of what you can do. So what can you do? What do they do? How do they help that?
Well, they put you on a whole bunch of supplements.
Yep.
And so apart from supplements, I'm trying this hyperbaric oxygen therapy. What they do is they put you in a tank. They put you at an atmospheric pressure of about 2, which it's like going up in a plane.
Yep.
And then they send you filtered oxygen, 100% oxygen, and you can absorb twice as much oxygen in your body at the time. And doing that helps pump the blood full of oxygen, which helps go to my head, clears up the scar tissue and helps the brain repair itself.
Fantastic.
So, yeah.
And so have you already noticed a change?
Oh, well, I'm doing that, and actually in a week from today, I start my oxygen therapy. So I've noticed a bit of the changes from the supplements I've been taking, the exercise I've been doing. I know I lost a lot of weight recently because I've been doing intermittent fasting, eating ketogenic diet, and doing high intensity interval training. And it all helps. That all helps just to keep me calm and keep me kind of centered as a person.
Yeah, awesome. And so over the time, and I think that you're a really good person to ask this question, because a lot of the people that listen to this podcast are people that are struggling with that monkey mind and that voice that kind of continually tells us why we're not good enough, why we're not smart enough, why we're not this enough, why we're not that enough. And you know how it is yourself. And it is that voice in our head that then kind of drives us to those really low points where we think, what's the point? Yeah. And I know that you've been in those low points as well. So I'd really like to invite you to share, what are some of the ways that you help yourself out when you're in those depths of despair?
The first one is exercise. Like, everyone's heard it before, everyone knows it, and everyone's kind of like, yeah, exercise, yeah, I get it. All right, what else? Like, that's something a bit easier. Supplements, take your magnesium, take your EPA, take your fish oil. Just simple things like that. I also, what else do I do? I make sure I take some time out just to relax and play video games every now and then. Like, sometimes I can get so drawn into something like work-wise and get so drawn into it that I lose kind of sight of what's going on. I need to kind of zoom out every now and then. So nothing takes you back than playing, like, you know, with a bunch of 12-year-olds on a game. You kind of come back down a bit more and relax, and you're like, okay, then you can go. Then you kind of refresh yourself and go back into work. Yeah. Some people might watch Family Guy or something like that, watch a TV show. What works for you, but you've got to make sure you spend time to relax, because that really pays dividends.
Yeah, absolutely. And what about, go on.
And just to focus on things that you're good at, not to focus on things you're bad at. Like, I could focus on things that I'm bad, like I can't fix things around the house, or I feel I have to call someone to plaster in the wall that I broke because I punched it when I was like not in a good mood one day. Yeah. It's like, and you feel bad about that, and you feel like, oh, I'm not a man, or I can't even plaster a wall or something. It's like, no, I have other skills. I've like good study skills and things like that. I've got to like focus on that, not focus on the things that I can't control and the things that I'm bad at. Like, because we're all bad at something, and if you focus on them, that's going to become our reality, that we're bad at everything. Well, that's what our mind's going to say. Yeah. We're not bad at everything. We just get in that focus, and what your focus becomes true, even if it's real or not. It's just imagined. Because our mind doesn't actually know the difference, right? Yeah. And so you've learnt that obviously over the time. Oh yeah, and I continue to learn it. I continue to learn it to this day. I still slip up every now and then. almost every day, actually.
That's that humanness popping in.
Yeah. Being human, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
And so,
tough.
isn't it? But we all have that same cross to bear. So, but what I want to ask you is something that I know that there's probably people out there who are listening as well, who actually are trying to, help somebody who they might have in their world that might be suffering with anxiety or with depression or with even potential, wanting to maybe even take their own life. And so what I want to ask you is, what's the best way of us to help you?
Come from a place of understanding and be prepared to listen, like, to a lot. And like if you there's a time, like, you spend the time building a little bit of rapport with a person, because often the case, you're not going to ask someone, hey, are you okay? And then they're going to tell you their life story about what's up. Usually they're going to be like, if I ask you, are you okay? You people go, yeah, I'm fine. Like, what are you asking me that for?
Yeah.
So kind of spend a little time building a bit of rapport with someone. But if they're already a friend, you already have that. And then just speaking to them. And I think it's more coming from a place where you want to help them and not for you, because you've got to think, like, what do people who have a lot of problems focus on? And there's three of them, but one of the things is they focus on other people's problems. So you've got to understand first, like, where am I coming from? Is there something going on in my own life first that I need to work on before, like, you put the oxygen mask on yourself before everyone else, like, because I found myself doing that. I got into this Tony Robbins stuff, all this coaching stuff, and I wanted to help a bunch of people. But all of a sudden I was like, wait, I need to help myself first.
Yeah, wait on a minute. Yeah.
It's like, wait on a minute.
What am I doing?
Like, this is self-help, not help other people.
Yeah. Awesome.
So coming from a place of understanding is good. And because a lot of the people who have opened up about their trials and tribulations to people have then gone on and been hurt by those people that they opened up to. So that's why it's hard for people to come forward and say that, because people are like,
I know over the time, the last 3 years where you and I have been chatting quite a lot, you have said to me that sometimes people reach out to you and they just, point the finger and do this and don't do this and think this and don't think that. And of course, all you want to do is tell them to piss off.
I ended up ghosting a few people there because it's a tough situation there, because everyone just wants the best for you. And if you're just going to come from a place of understanding the other person and get to know the other person and diagnosing their situation correctly before you go on to help them, because people, they want to wave a magic wand, but they don't know the context of the situation. See, I was dealing with an unknown brain injury at the time, and a lot of people, like, obviously didn't know that. I didn't even know that. I just thought I was stupid. I just thought I was stupid and not getting anywhere, and because I was failing a lot. And what I mentioned before, when I actually concentrate, my frontal lobes got worse and they actually turned off when they're supposed to be turning on. So I was like self-sabotaging myself, or my brain was sabotaging me. And the thing is, like, if you don't know that and you don't know people are going through something like that, then it comes off as like, Tristan's not trying. He's like, on the outside, it looks like I'm not trying, but actually it's because I'm trying so hard that I'm failing. So it's kind of an oxymoron.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's incredible. So what I want to ask you then, and again, you're still on the journey. As I've said previously as well, congratulations that there is light at the end of the tunnel.
Still here.
Yeah. And I think that this has really opened up some possibility for you. So talk me through what kind of possibility you now see for Tristian.
Possibility. I've another friend who I met through Tony Robbins, Temi. I think you might know her, Temi Vickie. She's been helping me out a lot. She's really taken me under her wing, and she's been networking me and introducing me to people. And I've been I've been working with one guy, Samar. He's an online entrepreneur. So I've been working with him a lot, and he's showing me the ropes and trying to teach me how to fish like online. We were doing a whole bunch of stuff before the COVID. Everything's slowed down now, but I think once things open up again, it's going to be a watch this space. But in the meantime, I'm just going to be doing my oxygen therapy, keeping my exercise regime going, and just keep reading. And, yeah.
Yeah. And your times when you go down now are fewer and far between?
Yeah, they're few and far between, but when they do happen, I've just got to make myself go outside and do something or like get moving. Because like one of my friends asked me when I tell her, I'm like, oh, I'm not feeling good today, I feel like crap. She always asks me, have you been outside today? Yeah. And I'll be like, oh, no. I haven't been outside in 3 days, and that can happen sometimes when you get yourself stuck in a loop. I remember I hadn't been outside for a week. And I didn't notice because my focus was so bad. I just wasn't with it. And sometimes it takes someone from the outside to kind of click you out of that hypnosis you've got yourself into.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the thing, isn't it? Because our minds can play havoc with the truth, can't they? That's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
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 So the last question that I want to ask you is actually along those lines. So if there is somebody out there that's listening to us today and you know is inspired by your journey as well, what are sort of 3 things that you would say to them that could really help give them a bit of insight into the possibility for the future for themselves?
Possibility. First one is don't give up looking for answers. Yeah. It's hard when your focus is off and you're isolated and you're by yourself, and we can always choose what we focus on. And you see this people, like a lot of people focus more on what they don't want than what they do want.
Yeah.
And then that's when we get caught. So I'd say
because we train ourselves then to do that. The more that we do that, the more that we're training ourselves to do that. So it's interesting, isn't it?
And next thing you end up like people like me first thing you wake up in the morning is like, oh, I'm not good enough. It's like, oh, okay. Good morning to you, brain, as well. Geez.
Yeah.
So I'd say.
And what else? Yep.
Focus on, what you're good at. Stop focusing on what you're bad at, and let's say rely on yourself a lot. Like have other people around, but get some confidence behind yourself without the need to have what's it called? Authority from other people. Validation, that's the word. Yeah. Give yourself that validation, because that's where the certainty comes from. Certainty doesn't come from getting validation from other people. The only way certainty comes from is within.
Yeah, and so if you were wanting to give yourself more certainty and validation, where would you start?
Start with your thinking first.
Yeah.
Start with thinking. Say, okay, well, I'm not good at all these things. What am I good at?
Yeah.
And then start from there. And you'll think about things that you're good at for like about 2 or 3 minutes, and then your mind will flip back to the good, bad stuff. But you've got to keep on continuing to flip it until it's automatic. And it's still not automatic for me yet. I'm still in that process of getting it unautomatic and untraining all the thoughts that I've had. But it's a process, and it's just kind of like losing weight. You go through it over a period of months and years. It's not something you change overnight.
No, you can't jump from the bottom of the mountain to the top of the mountain. You've actually got to take the steps.
Yeah, unfortunately. I wish there was something magical pill or something, but unfortunately there's not. Trust me, if there was, I would have found it by now and taken it.
Yeah, that's it. And so we've got to wind up. Is there anything else that you can kind of think, oh, I've got the mic, I've got the spotlight, I'd really like to say this. Is there anything else you'd like to share?
I'll just share, just don't give up to people who are out there who are struggling, who are feeling suicidal. Because I've been there. I've been to the psych wards like 3 or 4 times in the last last 7 or 8 years, and it's hard to accept this advice when you're in that time, but it does get better. I know, but if you're going through that time now, people don't want to hear that. People don't want to hear it gets better, because it's like, I don't know their specific situation, and they've got themselves in that focus where their specific situation is so bad that it can't reverse. But don't stop looking for a way out. Don't stop looking for other opportunities. And there's always going to be something that comes up, even though how dire it is. And it's usually the case is that your focus is off, and you've dug yourself into this mind hole where you're focusing on, why can't I do this? And you say, why can't I do this? The mind's like a computer. You feed it a question, and it's going to give you answers. Yeah. And it's all bad. So you've got to say,
because you're an idiot.
Yeah. So you've got to say, how can I fix this? How can I do this? And then they'll slowly, your brain won't tell you how to fix it. It's like the first few times you've got to train it. You've got to say, how do I do this and this? And then you will start to look for things, and you start to notice things and opportunities that you didn't see before. Yeah. So it all starts with.
And that's it, isn't it? It's all about taking baby steps to rewire our brain, to tame that crazy monkey mind that, if we let it run wild, will actually end up taking over. Yeah,
and it does. And you see me when it has.
I definitely have. Hey, but we're still here today, and
still here. Yes, exactly. So it's not like I'm perfect. I've still got a lot to go. Like, I've still got my goals career-wise and moving out of home-wise. Like, I've still got a lot of goals that I haven't achieved that I'm still on the way to achieve. But it's just what's going to help me is my mindset and that certainty and that confidence coming from within me. I'm not trying to get it from other people. That's what's going to help me. That's what's going to be with me when I go to sleep. So that's my main point I want to make. Just start with your thinking and buckle up for a ride, because your brain's going to fight you the first couple of months. But if there's anything worth it, it's this. The fight for your mental health is important.
Awesome. So, Tristian, thank you so much for your time today, and I really think that you have found a couple of gems there that our listeners will really, and I can say this stuff, do this, do the other thing, think this way, don't think that way. But it's great to hear from somebody that has, and actually we've all been down a road that where our mind takes over and does silly things and says silly things. But I love that you have been on that journey, and that you're still on that journey, and that you're really prepared to share some of the things that you did to help get yourself to this part of the journey.
See, I haven't succeeded. I haven't done anything yet. I'm still in limbo, like how a lot of people are. So
I call bullshit, because you've succeeded to get where you are right now. So well done.
See, that's my monkey mind.
Monkey
mind's focusing on. My monkey mind's going, but this, but that. No. I've completed something.
And you are doing such a great job. So well done.
Thanks.
And thank you for taking the time out to share with us today.
It's my pleasure.
Awesome. Thanks, Tristan.
Thank you.